Hello everyone, my name is Nino and we have a new video. This time, because you requested in the previous video, we're going to learn how to set up custom armor, tools, and food for Geyser for both Java and Bedrock edition. Before we start, I want to explain myself. And I want to say that first of all, thank you for the support that you gave to the previous video. I know that Hazer could be very difficult to learn, or um, to set up custom items. It's not that friendly at the moment, but that's why we're doing this tutorial, so you can know like the basic on how to set up the tools, armors, and food, and you can implement this on your server. Also, I want to say that, as I said in my previous video, I'm sorry you're facing difficulties understanding me, as English is not my primary language. But now, that's everything I have to say, and let's start with the video. As you see in the right part of your screen, I have Bedrock Edition, and on the left part I have Java. As you see in Java, it shows that it has a custom armor. For this video, I'm using Oraxen. I will start this tutorial with Oraxen, and in the near future, I will use item seller. I know that you're requesting that as well, but the process should be the same. But just to be clear on that, we're going to use Oraxen for the purpose of this tutorial. Well, as you see, in Bedrock, they see like this green letter armor, but in Java it has the proper armor that comes with Oraxen. And if we look for some tools, for example, let's say this obsidian pickaxe, Bedrock is going to see like an iron pickaxe, because that's how Oraxen set up the tools when it comes with the project. Well, what we're going to do? I want to leave this for a moment. Oh, sorry, this is not what I need to. In the description of the video, I'm going to leave these three folders and this file. Here is everything that we need to do to set up the custom armor or tools or food between Bedrock and Java using Oraxen, using Geyser and Oraxen. Sorry. Also, you will need to configure a little bit the Oraxen plugin itself, so you can set up the items, the armor, etc. So I'm going to explain a little bit what the files are about. Well, this one is the texture used. In this case, I leave here some examples for the armor items. They are basically the armor that you have on your hotbar. So, for example, if I look for the armor, basically are these items in the inventory. In this case, we're going to use the emerald boots, the emerald armor, but you can try with the copper armor as well. Also, we have the layers for the armor. As you know, armor works like this, where you have like one layer for the helmet, chest plate, and boots, and another layer for the leggings. I think it works with boots as well. We're going to see more about this when we configure the armor with Oraxen. Also, I have here some food. We're going to configure some bananas and pears, so it can work for both Java and Bedrock. And lastly, we're going to configure some tools. In this case, we're going to use an axe, hoe, pickaxe, and shovel. You can try with a sword as well, because the config is the same. So these are the texture files that we're going to use during the video. And also I want to share with you this, where we will have a files and template folder and this information will be useful when you try to configure the resource pack. And we have three folders here. We're going to start with the texture folder. This item texture.json file is going to be inside the resource pack, and here is where we're going to configure the inventory items or icons. Here for mappings, this is where we're going to configure the Java items so Bedrock can recognize them and they can change their textures. As I said, we're going to see this later on in the video. And lastly, this is the most important folder, the attachables folder. In here, I leave some templates where you can configure everything. If you want to configure boots for a new armor, you use the template boots. If you want to configure the chest plate, you can do with this file. If you want to configure custom food, you can use the JSON file and so on. As I said, we're going to look more into this later on in the video. So now that I have explained everything, I think. And lastly, we're going to have this resource pack template where if you see there's the attachable folder, the texture folder with the item texture JSON file. Here you just need to replace these files with the one that you are creating for your texture pack. And that's it. That's it regarding these files. So let's start to configure. In this case, we're going to go to where the server is located. In this case, I have a test server here, and we're going to the Oraxen file folder. Now we're going to go to the item folder, and just to be clear, this is the default installation of Oraxen. I haven't modified anything. I just installed the project and start the server. So this is a brand new installation. Of course, you do the necessary modification that you need to do. We're going to start with the tools. So we go to the tools file. Of course, you can use whatever file that you have. If you want to create a new file for your tools, you can do that as well. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use the default tools file that we have here. Okay, first of all, we're going to add all the tools that we have on our texture pack. In this case, we said that that we're going to use the copper files. If I'm not wrong, this texture comes from the items other plugin. I'm not sure about that, but you can use these textures for the purpose of this video. But I just want to be clear that I'm not the owner of these files, and if I found the owner of these files, I will leave the credits in the description of this video. Well, now that I said this, we're going to start adding these four tools to the configuration of Oraxen. So I'm going to use this as a reference. Okay, I want to look at something because there is something important, and I think I need to use the armor configuration. But first, let's start by adding the items. Okay, here we're going to start by adding copper adze, copper hoe, pickaxe, and shovel. Okay. Okay. And now I'm going to make this quickly. Copper. It's going to use an iron pickaxe. You can put here wherever you want, but it's very important that you remember this, because when you configure the Geyser mapping, you need to use this as a reference. So I'm going to use the iron pickaxe here, but you can use gold or stone. But for the purpose of the video, I'm going to use iron pickaxe, and I'm going to use the iron tools for the rest of the items. And testing pickaxe, I'm going to add here. You leave this you leave this the same. You don't need to modify anything at the moment. If you want to add some mechanics or durability, you can do that as well. I'm going to leave this as default for the purpose of the video. And in here in textures, this is the location where you're going to add well, your texture. So in this case, let me modify this. I think it's easier if I do this. And we're going to use the default folder, but you can add whatever folder you want. So let's go to the pack folder. We go to textures. As you see here, you can use the default folder. In this case, I'm going to create a new one for called testing. But you can name it whatever you want. Here, testing. And now within this folder, we just copy and paste all the files. We don't need this. And there it is. And now we repeat the process with all the tools. Okay, copy. We do the same. This is an ads. Testing ads. Okay. Now we do the same with the whole. And this. And lastly, we do the same with the shovel. There it is. Okay. Iron shovel. Shovel. And shovel. Okay. Something that I'm missing, and for this you need to use the armors configuration within Oraxen. Something that I'm missing is that you need to add the custom model data under pack. Why? Because later on, when we try to configure the Geyser mapping, we need this to use as an identifier. So we need to add this. Also, just to mention out that this custom model data is per material. So in this case, we're going to leave everything at 1, because later on when we configure the item, it's going to affect per material, per this. I will explain more about this when we configure the item. Okay, now we have set up the everything. Let me just modify this so we can avoid any issue. Oh, actually I'm going to delete this. We don't need the obsidian pickaxe. Well, actually I'm going to delete all this because we don't need it for the purpose of this video. Okay, now I'm going to reload the configuration just to let you know that here are all the items. But now if I do this, okay, it's generating the resource pack. Let's wait for the server to load the new resource pack. And there it is. Oh, actually, tools, there it is. We have added the tools to Java. Of course, Bedrock is going to see it like this, like an arrow shovel. That's why it's very important to remember the material that we use. And now I'm going to explain you how we link or how we create the resource pack so Bedrock can see, in this case, the tools. So we're going to do the following. First, we need to stop the server because we need to create the pack and everything. Now, remember that I told you that there is that we have some files and templates and everything. First, we're going to go to this folder that says resource pack template, and we're going to create a manifest. Here you can use this as a reference. Here you change the description of your resource pack. You can add a name. In this case, I use this as a reference, and it's very important that you add a UUID. How you can do that? In the description of the video, I'm going to leave this website where it generates a UUID generator. This is very important that you do this so you can avoid any issue with the resource pack. So here we create two of this because we need two of them. So we refresh the page and we copy and paste and where it says UUI. You need two of them and it needs to be different. Okay, once we do that, we are done with the manifest. Now let's start configure the texture items. The first thing that we want to do is that, as you see, we have this folder where it's called Geyser and Geyser Custom. If you remember my previous video, the resource pack had a similar structure to this, where it had the texture, then the Geyser, and then the Geyser Custom. For the purpose of this video, we are going to use that structure, but we are going to add like a little twist to this configuration. So here, normally you add your textures. You can do it by the you can do it like this. You can just wait a second, I made a mistake. You can do it like this. You just go to the texture and you copy and paste, or you can use the method I use, that I just copy the folder and I paste the folder here. For me, it's more organized to do that. So in this case, we have the tools folder. Now, now as you know, we have the texture here in this tool folder. Now we go back to the item texture JSON file. We're going to open this file, and here, as you see, we have the texture data. This is already configured. Here you just need to add the texture or the items identifier to create the texture, and so Geyser and Bedrock can recognize the item. I know it's a little bit messy, but I will try to explain better why I configure this. So for example, let's go back to our tools, and we see that we have the copper adze, the copper hole, the pickaxe, and the shovel. Let's start by the adze. So we do this. Normally, here you can add like an ID, like a random ID like this, random adze, copper, or copper adze. You can add something like that. My recommendation is that you use the name of the texture file, because it's easier to find if you need to add some modification or something like that. So in this case, I'm going to use copper adze like this. And then here you're going to find the path for your texture. As you see, if we take a look to the resource pack, we have the texture folder, then we have the Geyser folder, then we have the Geyser custom folder, and here we have another folder. So in this case, we're going to add the tools folder, and then we're going to add the corresponding resource pack. In this case, it's the copper adze. It's not necessary to add the .png. By only adding this is enough for the system or the plugin to find the texture pack. And we're going to repeat the same process for each tool that we have. So to add more of this, you just add a comma like this, and you copy. Three and four. Keep in mind that the last item of your item texture.json file doesn't need to have a comma, because if it has a comma, there is an error. So keep that in mind. Okay, now let's do the same. It's how, and we change here how. Actually, I'm going to use this. If you're asking which tool I'm using to modify this, I'm using Visual Studio because also I'm trying to be a developer, so I use Visual Studio for simplicity. Then we add a pickaxe, and lastly we add a shovel. Okay, we have added the items for the inventory. Now by this, when we look for these items in the inventory, they're going to show up without issue. Now we need to add something for the item. And please give me one moment. Now that we have configured the item texture, we need to configure the item functionality. So you can see the animations, and the item doesn't seem weird when it's equipped in the hand for the Bedrock user. So now we can close this. We don't need this anymore. But keep in mind that it's very important that you remember this name. This is the item's identifier. So please keep this in mind. These names. Now we close this, and we go to. Oh, I lost myself for a second. There it is. I just want to make sure I have the right one. There it is. Okay. Now we go to the attachable. And as I said in the beginning, I have a template where you can add the corresponding attachments for the items. So you can go to the files and templates, you go to attachments, and in this case I have all this where you can add for armors, you can add for food, for tools and swords, and for normal items. In this case, because we're adding tools to Bedrock, we're going to use the swords and tools JSON. We paste this here, and also, do you remember the items identifier? You need to replace this name with the items identifier. So in this case, we have copper, oh, the copper adds.json, and you're going to repeat the same process for each file. 3 and 4. Okay, and shovel and hoe. There is. And also let me just go back to the resource pack because it's going to be easier for me if I do this. Okay, let's start with the ads. The attachable files are going to look something like this. The important thing here is this where it says item identifier. Here you need to replace this by the name that you declare on the item texture.json file. So in this case I added copper ads, so I'm going to replace that here. If you see Geyser custom, as I said before, we use the previous video structure to create this resource pack. So I recommend you to stick with this so you can avoid an issue. Okay, we have this, and now we need to look or add the texture of this file. As you see, we have where it says textures, and we have this that says default. The enchanted tag, you don't need to modify anything, you can leave it like it is. But for the default, you need to add the path where you added the texture. As you see, it's similar to this, to texture, Geyser custom. If you see this, there is texture, Geyser custom. So what you can do is copy and paste this, and that's what I'm going to do. Now we do this, and now we have added the copper ads as an item to our resource pack. So for the simplicity of this video, I'm going to do the same. Actually, I don't know why I created this. When I can do this, this, and this. Okay. Shovel. Um, oh. Okay, let's go with the pickets. Again, let me go back because I item texture here. Okay, we copy the path of the texture and we use the items identifier and we replace this here. Where it says copper at. And there is. Okay, we already did that with the copper at. Now let's go with the shovel. Okay, okay. Now we're configuring the hole, the copper hole. So let's modify this, this. Okay, this hole, hole. Let's just verify that it's the same identifier. It is. And lastly, let's configure the shovel. So let's go key shovel. Let's verify that everything is correct. Shovel, shovel, and shovel. Okay, there it is. By doing this, we have already added the set of tools to the resource pack. So let's try it out. I'm going to minimize this because now we need to do the last step to make this work. Well, first of all, let's create a zip file and Geyser, and let's call it Geyser resources.zip. We add this, and now we change this to call Geyser resources.mc pack. Okay. We have already finished with this, and now let's go to the mapping file. And this is where I told you to remember the custom model and the material. And I will tell you why. Here, mapping, here. Okay, it's going to show up this file. This is the part where you need to link the resource pack with Geyser so it can work. Here where it says Minecraft Apple, here you need to replace with the Java item that you're using for the resource pack. So in this case, if we go to Oraxen, we're using an iron picket, iron axe, iron hoe, and iron shovel. So we need to create this for each item. So let's start with the iron pickets. In the items identifier, again, you need to use the one that you set up in the item texture. So in this case, we use the copper pickets. You paste it here where it says name and icon. And for the custom model data, remember that we use for the iron pickets, well, for all of them, we use the custom model data of 1. So let's replace this here. We have already added the picket. Now I'm going to repeat the same going to do the same for each tool. Let's go with iron at. I remove this. Okay, now let's go with iron hole. hoe, hoe. And lastly with the iron shovel. Shovel, shovel. Okay, there it is. Please keep in mind that when you are creating your custom items, you can use the same iron pickaxe, but you need to create a custom model data. For example, if let's say that in the future you want to add, let's say, an obsidian pickaxe, you copy this, you configure everything, obsidian, something like this. To avoid texture conflict, you need to modify this. So, for example, for the obsidian pickaxe, you need to do this, and you need you need to change the custom model to 2, 3, 4, or whatever custom model that you want to add. And here, when you specify that under the iron pickaxe, to create a new one of this, you just add a comma here on these brackets, and you add the corresponding identifier that you set up here in the item texture, and in custom model data you put number 2. That's when you need to create more than one pickaxe, but in this case that's not necessary, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to remove these commas. Remember that it's going to cause some errors if we keep commas that it's not necessary. Now that we have set up this, we are ready to test the textures for both Java and Bedrock. So now what we need to do is, let's go to the server. One moment, let me find the folder. There it is. Okay, let's go to the server, and, uh, and let's go to the Geyser Spygot folder. Here in custom mappings, you're going to copy this file, the one that you just created, and you're going to paste it on where it says custom mappings. And for packs, we're going to look for the pack that we created. Source pack, we're going to look for this. Now we have everything ready and we can start the server. Let's wait for the server to start. After doing this, we're going to set up the custom armor. The process is similar, but there are some tweaks that we need you need to do locally with the templates that I'm going to share with you in the description of the video. You don't need to do that much. You just need to find the corresponding layer of the armor, add the items identifier, and that will be it. But now let's test the custom tools that we just added with to Oraxen and Geyser. As you see, it registered 4 custom items. That means that Geyser seems to be working. Let's start with Java. There is. Okay, we have our custom items. And now if we go to Bedrock, okay, let's wait for Bedrock. There is. Now it's going to ask us to download the resource pack. We're going to agree to this, and it's going to let us join. And as you see, Bedrock is now recognizing the texture. And if we give the prior the items, and if we use Bedrock, we go here, you see that we have the texture with their corresponding animation and everything. An issue that was happening before is that the items or swords will look something weird when you have it on your hand, or the animation wasn't feeling right. It wasn't right. But with this, we solve the issue. So, for example, if we want to dig or something like that, we will be able to use it. The same with the pickaxe, and the same with the ads. And yeah, that's for the custom item. So the textures are not working. But if you see, let me bring me back here. There is. And now let me grab the armor. But if you see, we're still not able to see the armor. Let's configure the armor. So let's stop the server again. Um, as I said, the process is similar to what we did with the custom armors. We go back to the resource templates, and in this case, I'm going to delete this one because we're going to do some modifications. First, we need to declare the inventory items. So we go back to the item texture and we start declaring the items. In this case, we're going to use the one moment textures. We're going to use the emerald item. So as I explained earlier, what I like to do is to copy or create a new folder for each type of tools or items that I want to add to the game. So in this case, I'm going to copy these armor items, and I'm going to bring this to the texture folder. Also, because we don't need the copper, I'm going to delete this. But here you can add all the sets of armors that you have. Okay, so we have the boot, chestplate, helmet, and leggings. Let's repeat it. Let's do the same process with each one. With each one. So let me copy this. Let's start with the boots. Again, we copy the name of the item image because it's easier to recognize. And 3, 4. Okay. We copy chestplate. Then we copy helmet. And lastly, we copy leggings. And also we need to modify where these files are located. So we do this, helmet, and leggings, and they are located in which folder? Let me see the name of the folder. Armor items. 1, 2, 3, 4. Armor items. Okay, we have already completed adding the inventory items to Geyser, to the resource pack. Sorry. Now we need to go to the attachables, and here we're going to use the templates that I'm going to add in the description. In this case, you will see a template for boots, for chestplate, for helmet, and for leggings. So I'm going to copy these 4, and I'm going to add it here. Okay, I'm going to copy the boots. Similar to the copper tools, you need to add one JSON file per each template, per each item. Sorry. So one for chestplate, one for helmet, and one for leggings. Okay, now let's start with the boots. If we open the Emerald Boots JSON in the touchables files, you're going to see something like this. It's very similar to the copper tools, but there are some modifications. Here, again, you need to add the identifier. So we're going to add the Emerald Boots identifier. Here you need to modify one more thing, and it's the path to armor layer. So we forgot to add the armor layer to the resource pack. Let's do that. 1 second. Okay, the armor layers. I'm going to add this folder as well to the textures folder inside our resource pack. And I'm going to delete the copper because it's not longer necessary. Okay, we have these two files, the Emerald Armor Layer 1 and the Emerald Armor Layer 2. I already specify here which one you need to use for the boots, chest plate, helmet. So let me show you this: chest plate, helmet, and leggings. So for example, you see that the boots require the layer number 1. The layer number 1, if you need to know, it's the one that has like the most complete information about the armor. So for example, you see this one that has only like these little parts, and then you hit and you see this. They has like more complete image or information about the armor. So if you need to know which one is number 1, number 2, just see which one has more information. The one that has more details or information is the number 1, and the one that has few details or information is the number 2. So here we have the path to armor layer number 1, and this is for the boots. So in this case, we're going to copy this. Please keep in mind that the path to the armor layer is in armor layers folder. So we need to do this: armor layers. I think that's the name of the folder, just in case I'm going to copy to avoid any issue. There is. And we need to add the number 1. So again, we take the name of this and we paste it here. And to speed up the process, I'm going to copy this because it's going to be the same for the rest of the armor except for the leggings. So I'm going to copy this, and now let's repeat the process for this. This for the helmet as well. And now let's start by changing the modifier. This is chest plate. There is. This is helmet. There is. And for leggings, I'm going to add here leggings. And there is. As you see, here is requesting the number 2, the armor layer number 2. So we're going to paste the previous path that we had before. We're going to paste it here, but we're changing this number 1 with this number 2 because that's the name that I use here. Okay, now we already added the custom armor for Bedrock. We are done with this. We don't need this anymore. Now we need to look one more thing, and that will be the, give me one moment, the mapping file. Here we need to add the corresponding Java items for the custom armor. In this case, if we take a look to Oraxen, if we go back to Oraxen, items, armor. I'm going to delete this because I don't need it. This. Okay. We're using for custom armor. Sorry, you need to use the leather armor. So you're going to use each one first. So let's start with the helmet. Let's go to the Geyser mapping. Let's create a new one. And let's put here leather helmet. Again, for the name and the icon, you use the one that the item identifier. So let's go to the resource pack, textures. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. Texture, there is. In this case, for the helmet, we use emerald helmet. So I'm going to paste this and this. And let's take a look to the custom model data. Let's see this real quick. As you see, there it is already using the custom model data number 1. If for some reason you need to add more armors, you need to copy this, create the armor that you need to. One second. You need to create more armors. You copy this, obsidian for example, and you modify the model data. Okay. Also keep in mind for the textures, as you see in Oraxen, I recommend you to stick with the default configuration. It shows that it has a duplicate path for the helmet and for all the armors. That's how Oraxen works. So I recommend you that if you are creating a custom armor, just stick with this configuration. Okay. Now let's go. Let's repeat the process for the chest plate, leggings, and boots. So for the chest plate, it's using leather chest plate. So let's go back to the Geyser mapping. Let's add a new one. Chest plate, and chest plate. Let's add another one for leggings. If I'm not wrong, that's the Java item. Yeah, leggings. Okay, I'm going to speed up the process. Leggings. And lastly, now we need to add the boots. It's called boots, there is. And there is. Okay, we already added the Geyser mappings and we already created a resource pack. So now what we're going to do? We're going to the resource pack template. Again, we're going to create a new file. Geyser resources. We're going to paste this, and we're going to grab these files to the Geyser resources. We're going to modify the zip file to a MC pack file, and now we need to go to the server. We go to Geyser Spygot folder. We delete this pack and these custom mappings. We paste this here, and lastly we go here, mapping, and we paste this here. And there is. Now let's start the server. Something that's very important is that when you update the resource pack, when you add more information or something like that, sometimes it doesn't download the new version of the resource pack. So if that is happening to you, please go to storage, go to cache data, and look for the name of your resource pack. In this case, if you remember, we added something like testing. Here, this one, testing server resource pack. This is the manifest.json file. So we click on it, and we click on this trash can icon, and we delete it. Now by doing this, we're going to download the latest version of the resource pack. Okay, we're receiving some errors, but this is because we deleted the obsidian tools. Let's see if Geyser recognizing the custom items. It is. It has 8 custom items. Now let's try to log in. It's going to ask us to download the latest version of the resource pack. We agree to it. And there is. Okay. Okay, we're seeing some issues with the copper shovel. Let me take a look to this. But because it should not happen. Pick attach shovel, helmet, chestplate, leggings, and leather boots. Okay, and let's see here. 2, 3. Oh, there is. I know why we're facing the issue. It's because we deleted the shovel from the item texture. So let me add it here. Shovel, shovel. Let me stop the server real quick. And there is, okay, let's plugins and Geyser custom mapping. We delete this one and oh, and we go to the resource pack, textures. Okay, so it's the item texture. In this case, I'm not going to delete it because it doesn't have. I'm just modifying a file, so I'm just going to delete this, delete the files, and now let me go to item texture. Okay, and there is. Okay, so now we copy the resource back again. And I don't know why I deleted the custom mapping. The custom mapping wasn't the issue. It was the resource pack. And there we go. And let's start the server one more time. This is the process for adding custom armors and tools. To add food or swords and everything, it's the process is the same. As I said, I'm going to leave in the description all these files, all these attachables files. There is a file that's called, let me show you, that's called template food. Here in this template food, again, you just modify the item identifier, both in the identifier and geometry. You just add the name of the identifier that you set up on the item texture, and you add the path to that texture. As you see here, the only difference is that we have a component that's called Minecraft use animation eat, and this is the animation that we use to eat the food. So that's the only difference. So let's see if the server is recognizing everything. It is. Again, we're going to delete the previous resource pack. 1 second. Here we delete this. Now we go back to servers. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit sick, so sorry if you hear me coughing. Oh, there it is. Now the show is working. Now if we connect to Java, we have our armor. In Java is working, and if we go to Bedrock, we see that the armor is working as well. And if the user tries to equip this armor, ah, I forgot to give the helmet. If we equip this, we're going to see that it's working in Bedrock as well, and Java can see us, and everything seems to be working. Also, remember, if you look to my health bar, you see that I have more arrows, more hearts. Sorry, it's because this armor gives you extra life. So if I remove it, you will see that my health bar is back to normal. But if I use it, I have more hearts. So you can see the possibilities that at least you have with Oraxen and custom armor. And this is the way to add custom armor to Bedrock. And well, this will be the tutorial. I know that I needed to cover how to add custom food, but the video is taking too long, and my recommendation is that you stick to the attachable files. And if you have more questions, please leave it on the comment section of this video, and I will try to help you if you have questions about the swords or the custom food. But this is for Oraxen, as I said, for the Oraxen plugin, and this is the video on how to configure custom armors and custom tools. Well, first of all, as I said before, thank you so much for watching this video. As I said before, this is not my English is not my native language, so sorry if there are some problems to understand me, but I will try my best to answer your questions in the comment section if you have more questions or doubts or any issue. Well, this will be it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that this helps you to set up custom items and armors in Geyser for both Java and Bedrock. Bye bye.